Welcome back. Yes, I am very excited about this one because it's going to force all of us to think about where we could be going, what we could be doing with these amazing bodies that we've been gifted with. And we are joined in studio by 3 South African ice swimmers who were among the group of 16 swimmers from all around the globe who swam in the Arctic Ocean off Svalbard, which, and this happened last week, and it's the most northernmost human settlement on the planet. And it's cold. It's somewhere between Norway and the North Pole. Now, Barkai, Craven, and Samantha Whelpton are all joining us. Very warm this morning, I would imagine. Guys, welcome to our show. Great to have you here. Thawed out just a little bit after what I would imagine was quite a grueling physical and mental challenge. But let's go back to the beginning. Ram, maybe I can start with you. You started the association back in 2009 to formalize the sport of ice swimming. Where did it start? Were you just really cold in the Atlantic Ocean one day and thought, I must make this a sport? When did this idea to formalize this community, this group around you, begin, and where is ice swimming now?
It started, it's a journey, you know. Obviously, when you look back to a lot of people, it looks like I woke up one morning and said, let's start ice swimming. I had a bad dream and let's go for it. But it was actually a journey. In Cape Town, we have cold water, and I started to realize what a big factor cold is in swimming. People don't talk about this. They talk about, I swam here, I swam this, I did this, and I realized that the water temperature plays a huge factor in swimming. So I started swimming. Somehow I ended up in Antarctica 2008, and I realized...
As one does, yeah.
On a holiday, and I swam 1 kilometer. And I came back and I realized I'm not a superhuman. If I can do it, many people can do it. Then I done another swim, and then I realized that there's a whole world out there. It's almost like you open a door, you know, to the secret garden, well, of ice, if you can say.
On the rabbit hole, yeah.
Exactly, of possibilities, because we all grew up with, it's dangerous, you're gonna die, it's risky, you don't do that. Come winter, you go into the warm pool. So it just opened a whole world, and that world also included Antarctica, all places that, for me, until 10 years ago, 13 years ago, it was like, okay, we're going to go to the moon on a holiday.
Yeah, it's completely
how do we do that?
Yeah.
So now we're going to Antarctica, and it sounds quite normal, surreal. So that world obviously had to have some sort of infrastructure and rules, so I started doing all the set up an infrastructure for rules, parameters, rules, regulation, and promoting it. And so now we have swimmers, members from 86 countries around the world.
Wow.
We have events all around the world. We have the next World Championship in France, in the French Alps, in January. You are all welcome to join us.
Thank you, thank you.
I'll give you free entry fees.
I love that. So now you've brought it to a place where people have their tribe. People have their community around them. Samantha, you've joined this community. What on earth is wrong with you? Why would you choose to do this? What drew you into this incredible realm? You know, as Ram said, this new world of possibilities. What sparked the interest for you?
It's definitely growing up or being around water, and you want to push your limits and you want to see what you are capable of, and you start swimming in the cold water in our Atlantic Ocean. And then one day someone on the beach says, you know what, we're doing this ice swim, why don't you join? And it's interesting and intriguing, and then you start, and then you realize what you are capable of once you've convinced your mind that you are capable of it. And then, yes, like you say, you join this tribe of people that are so like-minded and so inspirational that no one's going to ask you, why are you swimming in Antarctica? Why are you going to Svalbard? People are just like inspiring you to just push your limits and go out of your comfort zone a little bit.
And one can only think what that does in the other areas of your life. Once you have that glass ceiling shattered, not even lifted, but completely obliterated. But then you've got to find places that are cold enough to swim. So we arrive at Svalbard. Hopefully I'm saying that right, John. It's the most northern human settlement that we can get to, okay? So it's cold, I would imagine, very cold. Just how cold is it there? Talk me through the conditions that you arrive in, because I would imagine just getting off the plane, or can you get there by plane?
Yeah.
Getting off the boat, how do you even get there? But that second that you arrive, it must get real very quickly.
So you start off in Norway, Oslo, where most of us arrived and had a pre-function there, meet and greet. Then you take a plane, it's about a 2.5-hour journey to Tromsø. I mean, a few people have been there. That's right at the northern part of Norway. You actually do a check-in through customs, because Svalbard is an international territory. It's managed by Norway, so you have to go through passport check-in in Tromsø. And then it's about an hour and a half to another 2-hour flight directly to the North Pole. And as you said, it's about roughly 1,000 k's the northern part of Svalbard Island. Svalbard consists of quite a few islands. The biggest one is Spitsbergen, which is quite well known. And it's literally a Joburg to Cape Town flight, and you're at the North Pole. Flying there, you literally start seeing the ice, the polar ice cap. So it's on the fringe of the polar ice cap. The southern bit of Svalbard gets warmed up by the Gulf Stream. Hence, you can swim sometimes of the year in the fjords. But arriving there, it's quite daunting. You know, it's a grey area in winter. We came there at the end of spring. A lot of ice in the water. And, landing at the airport and driving to the village of Longyearbyen, which is the northernmost settlement and the northernmost airport and the northernmost gas station.
That's as far as you can go, yo.
Everything is northernmost. But, yeah, it's quite daunting. And I must say, there's moments of silence in the bus where people start looking at the water. And, we actually did a trip the day before our test swim day. And I've always thought that water can't get colder than -1. We actually got a patch where it was -2, and the water freezes below freezing point because of the salinity, and it's quite daunting.
How handy though? How handy that the water doesn't even freeze there. That's like a real bonus in this instance. Just to put it in perspective here, one of the competitors, I know you said not superhuman, but one of the superhumans that went and did this was 72 years old. It says that it's about the strength of the mind, and that's what we're going to get into in just a moment. They're not going anywhere. You can go and have a quick ice bath just to kind of relate to them, but we're going to get back into the kitchen to warm things up a little.
So cold. After all of that ice water talk, I think let's warm you up with this next delicious recipe.
Well, from those near-perfect conditions to go out swimming and enjoy the sunshine, we flip that coin completely and look at probably the most difficult conditions you could swim in. We are continuing our conversation with the ice swimmers Jean Craven, Barkai, and Samantha Whelpton, and they are talking about their recent swim in the Arctic and the mental strength it takes to get you, well, just to get you there, let alone get you through it. Now, you have felt so much gratitude towards this incredible discipline, this life journey in swimming in these kinds of conditions, that you've dedicated this book, From Fire to Ice, which takes us through your incredible journey, which I think would offer us insights into why you keep going back for more. But the one thing I can't let go of is the mental strength that you would have to build. So I'm going to ask for you personally, if you can summate this incredible journey that you've got going on in this book into what's happened within your own mind. What does it do for you? What has being an ice swimmer done for your strength of mind, your strength of will, and your mental well-being?
Some people will argue that it hasn't done much for my mental well-being. That's why I have to go back.
And you're all following him, so you're just as crazy, eh? You're just as crazy.
All got problems.
You know, the mental part is always a fascinating part, because it's not an exact science that you can go and measure the temperature and exactly what it does to you. And it's also a very personal thing. For me, when I started swimming in the cold, and the realization, I think Sam mentioned it before, that I can do it, and I can do it longer, and it's not going to kill me, and how far can I go? It was also a mental journey, which actually hasn't stopped.
It's not one light bulb moment.
No, it's a journey to realize that life has a set limits and preconceived sort of walls, and I don't necessarily like walls and boundaries, so I try and find out. And it gave me a huge amount of probably personal strength. Just not comparing to anyone else or superhuman or anything, just to be able to do things that I thought are completely impossible for me. And to see other people coming and doing things that they thought were impossible for them does give you a huge mental satisfaction and mental strength. But also there's something else in the ice, and people always ask you, and there's a lot of talk about this, you know, dipping in the cold water, what does it do to you? There's a lot of, gives you endorphin and everything.
Yeah,
the ice is a very, there's science behind it, but the thing about the ice that everything is very condensed. Sometimes we compare a 1 kilometer swim to an Ironman.
Wow.
It takes you 12 hours, but we do it in 15 minutes if we're lucky. Everything is highly condensed, and things happen very, very quickly. So if in Ironman it takes you 4 hours to get tired, in ice swimming it takes you 2 minutes, and suddenly, oh my God, I can't feel my hands and everything. And the same with regard to the benefits. So Sam needs to go and do an Ironman to get 2 hours of endorphin. I need to go and do 20 minutes ice swim, and I'm on the same high for the rest of the day. So it's very condensed.
But that being said, you also then know what's coming the next time you're going to do this. And that, I keep thinking, like, the fear that must have an opportunity to take seed and then grow and then build. What actually happens when you jump in the water, Jean? What goes through your mind and your body and your system? How much of a shock is it when you enter into this place, especially knowing how much you've had to build it up in your mind?
I think that's very true. The previous similar swim we did was in Antarctica in 2018. And, you know, being the first one, there's a lot of excitement around the swim. You know, you jump in, it's a beautiful place to swim. You know, then the shock hits you, and, you know, it's like a real fuss bait for, you know, 15, 20 minutes of your life. That's what it's about. Try and get it over with as quickly as possible. But then, you know, the recovery post that half an hour of literally trauma, you know, literally going into a death zone where you touch the fringes of, you know, cardiac arrest. You know, it's a dark place that you go through the recovery. And I often think people have mental problems, you know, that go through this journey knowingly and, you know, on their own will. But this was, I think, one of the biggest challenges, again, in Svalbard, you know, knowing where you're going to go, knowing what you need to put yourself through, the recovery that's still ahead. And, you know, that silence before, that half an hour before, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 1 minute, before you get into the water is hectic. You just want to get out of there, but you know this is ahead.
Fight
You've got to do it.
Flight,
and it's jumping in, and it's like attack from the first minute for 20 minutes and just hanging there.
Oh, Sam, I'm going to round off with you very quickly now, knowing that one of the oldest members of your group was 72 years old. What does that mean to you and your own kind of idea of boundaries?
Well, Ellery McGowan is from Australia, but she stays in Great Britain, and she's just incredible. I told her a couple of times that if I can do half the things at her age, then my life would be complete. And it just gives me so much inspiration that you can do anything that you can convince your mind of to do. And it's just incredible to see her at the age of 72 do an ice swim at -1 and come out and love it and be such a sport and be so positive about life. And I think ice swimming also gives you many coping tools, not just for swimming, but to just deal with everyday stress and management.
You said -1. I think it might have been -2 at times, eh? -2 at times. You guys are amazing to me. Thank you so much for putting yourselves through this so that you can prove to the rest of us what we are truly capable of. If you can, get a copy of Rum's book, From Fire to Ice, if you want to truly understand the insanity of these people and why they keep doing what they're doing. But one thing it has laid bare for me today is that our minds, never mind our bodies, but our minds are so much stronger than we believe them to be. So you can go and visit the International Ice Swimming Association or Madswimmer websites to get all of the information and maybe go and take a little dip yourself.